If you're a 49er fan, you're probably pretty happy with the current state of the franchise with no contractual drama heading into OTAs or mandatory minicamp because Brock Purdy, Fred Warner, George Kittle all got paid prior to the start of the offseason activities. But we have Brock Purdy hop on the Tim Kawakami podcast and kind of give a little bit more detail behind the scenes of how it really went down, kind of finding out that he got the contract and he actually missed the call from John Lynch, and it's a pretty funny story about it. But he also dives into the mindset and actually gives some information about how the negotiations went. It's a great listen. So take a listen to this little clip of Brock kind of explaining this whole process and how it went down. Take a listen right here.
I think you can afford it, by the way.
Yeah,
I think you can.
No, I think so. Yeah.
I was also laughing. You were on the 17th hole Olympic Club, I guess, when you heard.
Yep.
So how did you play the 18th?
18, yeah. I birdied.
Oh.
Yeah, to end the day, I birdied. So that was good. But, man, that was a special day. Getting out golfing and in San Francisco, like the city that I represent for the Niners, and to be able to be out there and then all of a sudden get a call, it was pretty special. My wife and I being out there and just taking it all in, but it was a special day for sure.
Did you know it was about to come? I mean, it wasn't a total surprise, I imagine.
I mean, that week, my agent and I were talking, and we sort of knew that it was close. There was a couple things, within the contract and the language that we wanted to sort of get right on both sides. And, we were talking like, hey, if we can just get here and them there, like, this thing can get done, or it could drag out for another couple weeks. And so that's sort of where I was at. And, when we're golfing, my agent texted me saying, we're getting close. And then a couple holes go by and I look at my phone again and I had a missed call, and he goes, dude, pick up the phone from John Lynch. It's done, in all caps. And so then that moment right there, like my heart dropped and I was like, this is crazy. It's happening. So
shouts and screams, or just like, okay, we're through this?
I mean, I hugged my wife, on the golf cart and gave her a kiss, and it was a cool little moment, just us two. That it wasn't anyone else freaking out or anything. It was just us going like, this happened, and God is so good, and we're just thankful for it. And so that little moment together was pretty special for us. And then after that, yeah, like we were all celebrating and FaceTime John Lynch, and he was with Kyle and Jed York and everybody, and so they were all fired up, screaming, and so it was a pretty just cool moment overall.
You mentioned during the process of it that they gave you a respectful first offer, which when you kind of knew things were on the right track, but then they got to a number that you knew. Was that number like 50? Was that the number, or was it another number?
It was basically, when they first offered initially. Is that what you're asking, the first offer?
Well, no. You said later, I'm sorry. That
yes.
They did get to a number. You kind of knew when they were at this number.
For sure. Yeah, it was 53.
It was 53,
sure. Yeah. So once we got to that number, it was like, okay, now, like, how does that work? What's the cash flow look like? And, just all the details of the language and everything like that. So once we had all that cleaned up, obviously that's when we had the green light to say yes to it. And so, the rest is history.
That's what strikes me and a lot of people. So much of this makes sense. Like sometimes NFL negotiations do not make sense. We're not sure about them. Mm-hmm. But if you just look at you're looking at the quarterbacks who are Jared Goff, like the Trevor Lawrence, those are the Jordan Love. Were you kind of doing the same? Your agent kind of doing the same? Like that's the number that fits for me.
Yeah, I mean that's just the quarterback market. When you're doing a new contract and negotiations, obviously you have to look at the other people in your position in the league that are getting paid a certain number, and obviously what you think you're worth within that, and what the team can handle with cap space. Like that's the part of negotiating. You have to find a middle ground within all of that. And so obviously I love this organization. We wanted to go about it in a very respectful manner. But at the same time, like knowing, what has happened the last couple of years and what we can do together moving forward, we just wanted to, be respected with the number that we got. And so, and the Niners did that, man. They were awesome throughout this whole negotiation process, and nothing but first class across the board. And so I thought my agent did a great job as well with that, understanding that we want to maintain the respect and relationship that we've had over the years, but also let's get something done and something that I deserve. And so I thought the 53 number was awesome, and now we can, have a great team, great cap space to still move things around and for them to do their thing and continue to have guys around me to make plays and go win together.
Yeah, so you did leave. I mean, you could say you could have negotiated for more, and other guys have gotten more. Could you? Is it a discussion you have with them? Like, you're going to use this money that I theoretically have taken off the table and put it in the roster. Is that a discussion you have to have with them?
I mean, not necessarily like, all right, now we gave you all this room, go do this. And that's not my job. My job is, hey, like, I understand where we're at with the cap and all that. And, but for me, this is what I think I'm worth. And obviously I'm not going to ask for something that can be detrimental to our team. And I think we've seen that somewhat with just how teams have handled some things with certain players across the league. And I just want to continue to be able to play with guys around me that we could all be a united team and win together. And I understand that's so important, man, to win championships. And so I took that, and obviously we all know across the board, like, all right, now we have some room to go and do what we can do and get certain players and all that, especially down the road too, like contracts coming up in the next couple of years with guys on the roster and things like that. So that's how it went.
Again, the funniest thing to me was about the simple fact that he missed the call. John Lynch, imagine John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, Jed York, Parag Marathe, and other head executives sitting in an office like, all right, we're going to call Brock and we're going to tell him it's a done deal. And they dial his number and it goes to voicemail. And they're like, like, what? Like, Brock, pick up your phone. Is this Jimmy Garoppolo all over again? No, I'm just messing. But it was pretty funny for his agent to be like, dude, answer your freaking phone, man. Like, they're trying to tell you that the deal is done. But I do love the fact that it was just him and his wife, and they got to enjoy and experience that moment together. I think that's pretty special. It wasn't like a crazy situation where, I'm sure it was so surreal for him in that moment. But I also thought it was hilarious that, he had one more hole left and he birdied it. And I'm like, all right, there you go. That's the way you put the cherry on top, playing at the Olympic Club, doing all that kind of stuff in San Francisco. So I also thought it was some good information kind of about the contract and the negotiation process and how it ultimately went. Obviously, the number that apparently the 49er or that Brock and his agent wanted to get was 53. Which is right below Tua. And again, he explained the process of how contract negotiations work. The first video I ever made on Brock Purdy's contract was explaining exactly what he said, because obviously one of the big offseason topics from people who don't understand contracts were like, oh, he should be paid 35. Oh, he should be paid 40, or he should be paid 45. And it's just like, you could want that. Like, you could think that's what he should be paid, but all you're saying is you don't understand how contract negotiations work, which is fine. But again, those people act like they are the foremost expert in that topic, and they believe it's asinine if he was to sign anything in 50 or above, kind of like Puka Nacua. But anyways, at the end of the day, it's based on resume and slot. And where do you slot into these quarterback tiers and rankings? And honestly, he could have went for 55. He should have gotten probably 55. But going for 53, especially right below Tua, who is 53.1 on annual per year average, it's a great move. And again, he also talks about, like, man, like, I wanted to make sure that this works for both of us. I'm not Dak Prescott. I'm not going to take the San Francisco 49ers to the cleaners and then put them in a situation where we got to get rid of all our talent. Brock Purdy is thinking of this not only for himself, but for the team. And again, this is why this is the kind of guy you want to pay. You want to pay a guy who's like, you know what, I'm going to leave a little bit on the table just to ensure we keep some guys and we keep some talent and we look down the road and we see that they're going to be guys that are coming up and want to make sure those guys get paid so that we can continue to build and we can continue to go out here and compete and win games. And it's like, yeah, hell yeah, dude. Like, thank you, Brock. Like, again, Brock could have made this a lot more difficult than it was. I talked about the deal. I think the 49ers won in this deal. I think Brock won in this deal. I think the fans won in this deal. And they were kind of talking about that's just typically not the nature of NFL contracts. Typically, one side gets taken for a ride in a lot of instances. And in this case, it was one of those rare situations where I feel every side won in this negotiation, and including the fans, which is a rare element to this as well, because for the fans, what that means is that this team can remain competitive. Yes, you keep Brock, but you keep Fred, you keep Kittle, you keep guys later on down the road. So heck yeah, like, let's go. So it was a great interview, some great insight on Tim Kawakami, and I really liked it. So again, I'm super happy that Brock Purdy got paid. I'm super happy in the fashion in which he got paid, and I'm super happy that he's going to continue to be the 49ers quarterback for years to come. And he's the right guy, man. And I think, like, people who are so overly critical of Brock, it's like, this guy's 25 years old, man. He's 25. What is Tyler Shook, the second round rookie? He's 26 as a rookie. Like, people are like, oh, we got to go get someone better. We got to look into the draft. And it's like, really? Are you sure? Are you sure you want to do that? Because it's really hard to find a franchise quarterback in this league. Wink, wink, Trey Lance. There's no guarantees. And you got a guy right here who just turned 25 this year, heading into the peak of his career, already taking this team to a Super Bowl and multiple conference championships. Like, come on, guys. Come on, guys. Get your heads out of the sand. I mean, come on. But you guys let me know what you think. Again, it's a great listen. You can check this out wherever you listen to your podcasts. It's the Tim Kawakami podcast. And let me know what you think about this in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.